when they hear the word residential care is there going to be another person who can actually take care of my child? Does that replace my role in the child's life? These fears are very deep-rooted, but they're so rooted in love that at one level, we want them to go independent, but at the another level, we're also struggling to understand how do we make this transition. When a parent is talking about looking at short-term stay, the fear is not of something permanent. We're not looking at a permanent solution, but can we transition and move from fear to preparation? Short-term or a precursor to assisted living format is, according to me, a rehearsal. It's a rehearsal of trust. It's a rehearsal of seeing the child in another environment. It is a rehearsal of how does my child make sense of the world. From that perspective, you can treat this as a skill that we're training and building in before we actually get into long-term caregiving.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the India Autism Center podcast, your trusted space for real conversations, expert insights and practical guidance on autism, neurodevelopmental care and mental well-being. I'm your host Saudamini Sharma. Today's episode is about short-stay residential living in autism, what it really means, who it is for and how families can think about it without fear or guilt. To guide us through this conversation is Ms. Gitanjali Govindrajan, founder and executive director of the Snehadhara Foundation. She has spent over 2 decades working with children and adults with developmental disabilities, creating innovative models that bridge education, life skills, and inclusion. Her work spans curriculum, design, therapeutic intervention, and inclusive living practices. Welcome, ma'am. We're very happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Likewise.
So we'll just dive into the questions then. So many parents hear the word residential care and feel scared. Could you explain in easy words what short stay residential living is?
Okay, so when parents hear the word residential care, I don't think they hear the word residential care. What they seem to hear is this what after me question, which has been staying with them for many, many years. So is this question to be asked when my child is 10, 12, 15, 18? So to begin with, I think what parents ask when they say short stays and when they hear the word residential care is there going to be another person who can actually take care of my child? Does that replace my role in the child's life? These fears are very deep-rooted, but they're so rooted in love that at one level, we want them to go independent, but at the another level, we're also struggling to understand how do we make this transition. So short-term or an precursor to assisted living format is, according to me, a rehearsal. It's a rehearsal of trust. It's a rehearsal of seeing the child in another environment. It is a rehearsal of how does my child make sense of the world. And from that perspective, you can treat this as a skill that we're training and building in before we actually get into long-term caregiving. Like we're trusting a lot of processes. What happens to me when I leave the child in another person's care? What's happening to the child? What's the ecosystem around the child? So that would be how I would explain what a smaller module, whether it's a 3-day, 1 week, but taking those first steps would mean.
Before we continue, here's a quick look at who we are at the India Autism Center.
Imagine a space designed not just to care for individuals with autism, but to empower them. A place where knowledge grows, support flourishes, and possibilities expand. This is India Autism Center. It is built to redefine how we approach autism. Through education, research, and community-driven initiatives, we create an environment where individuals with autism can thrive. Samavesh, our residential campus, is designed for individuals with autism to live, learn, and grow with dignity and independence. It is more than just a place to stay. It is a space to belong. Manan, our training academy, prepares professionals to provide specialized care. Through structured programs, we equip individuals with the skills to support neurodivergent communities with confidence and compassion. Khoj, our research division, is dedicated to advancing our understanding of autism. Through data-driven studies and collaborative research, we work towards shaping the future of neurodiversity.
Like we mentioned, the parents, their fears is one of the biggest fears the parents have is the safety of their child. How does one find a short stay residential place that actually feels safe and predictable for their child?
So when you're talking about parents feel, is the child safe? I think the safety itself is a broader definition. A parent is asking about physical safety, which is infrastructure, are all the processes in place, what is the caregiving team looking like, which is the team of educators working with the child, who are the experiential learners and teachers, what are all the facilities. The other safety that we're talking about here is emotional, psychological safety, mental safety of both the parent as well as the child. So when a parent is talking about looking at short-term stay, like I said earlier, the fear is not of something permanent. We're not looking at a permanent solution, but can we transition and move from fear to preparation? What is the ethical preparation that I need in the place? Can I collect data about my child? Because today, whatever data we have about the child is the data that we have, and the primary caregiver is a part of the child's life.
Right.
If I remove the primary caregiver, how does my child make himself or herself understood? How do they make sense of the environment around them? So short stay and a stint of this sort, I would look at it as a very required data collection process. Not just for the parent, but for the community, for the organizations running the space as well. What's the kind of support do I need?
Right.
So I think from that perspective, you should treat this as a transition from fear to preparation.
Turning to a practical concern that parents express, there is often a fear that staff may focus solely on controlling behavior rather than truly understanding the child. How can parents be assured that staff will recognize and respond to their child's sensory triggers thoughtfully rather than simply attempting to manage them?
So I think you used a word here saying control. So when we are getting into a relationship of this sort, where we are exploring an environment for the child, which is not the environment that the child has primarily been used to, I think one of the stepping stones for this is trust. So we are hoping parents get into this journey not as passive consumers, but as being collaborators and partners in making this journey possible. So one of the ways to mitigate a fear which is so real is to see what's the kind of data we are collecting from parents. How open are parents in sharing with us what happens in the child's life? Oftentimes for a parent who has faced enough rejection due to societal structures of normalcy and the lack of their child being understood, this fear is very real, and they oftentimes don't give you the entire information about the child.
Right.
So are there non-threatening ways in which we are dialoguing with the parents, collecting the medical histories, collecting what are the potential triggers, and then walking this journey is the first step. Control is not something that's going to, control is a very strong word, and oftentimes for parents it's very real. How are they treating my child? Are they treating my child like the way I would treat? For the longest, I'm the only one. I mean, forget parents, I'll say it in singular. Oftentimes there's only one parent who has managed to decode the child, right, in terms of the child's needs. So this is important as a parent in terms of, how will people treat or understand my child? But I think it's a partnership. We need to make sure that we are getting on to this while keeping the dialogue on.
Right.
We're not judging the parent for, the struggles that the child may be navigating through. Very strong caregiver trainings where we are also trying to open, the conversations around what it is for a caregiver. Like, what does the caregiver really need? And if we stop treating the parent or the child as a beneficiary of the system, but as a part of the community, then I'm thinking we can mitigate this fear, because every fear of the parent is very real.
Of
It
course.
comes from a
Yeah.
lived experience of many things that
Definitely.
have been a part of the
Yes.
child's life.
If you're watching this and finding it helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. Moving on to the next one. Is a short stay intended solely for emergency situations, or can it also be planned proactively as part of a broader care approach? What would you say to a parent who feels they may be failing their child by considering a short stay?
So is it a emergency approach? Can be. Does one need to really plan this, and is it a part of a larger dialogue? The second one is actually more, one is more right in describing it like that. For a parent, I think there are 2-3 things which are at play. One is, oftentimes I'm asked, what is the thing that a parent has to do as a part of planning for their child? And my answer is very simple, and I say this out of 20 years of working with parents and children. The best thing a parent can do for their child is to begin taking care of themselves. So it is okay for a parent to use a facility like this to do 2 things. One is to tell myself without guilt, without shame, that I need a break, and it is okay. Because that break or that rest is actually the beginning of care. So I think from that perspective, yes, it can be one. At the same time, incidental to that requirement is also, can I understand and collect more data about my child? So yes, when we treat it as there are options like this today, like, you can have the child go and spend time in a space for a week or for 4 days or for 5 days. I would say there are small steps which parents need to start taking, and it is fine. But yes, to answer the second part, is it a part of a larger ecosystem? Yes, there are beautiful options that are coming up today when we're talking about assisted living. Every format is an important format. India Autism Center has been coming up with something. I'm personally aware of this from the last 10 to 12 years. The thought that's gone into putting together a program like this, likewise other organizations around the country. So for every model, it is an important step, not just for the child, but also for the organizations to recalibrate and see what is the amount of effort that we need to sustain the human infrastructure required to run this. And from that point of view, yes, it does fit in as a data collection, even for organizations. Okay, how does one do this? What are the SOPs that have to be in place? What are the systems that we need to start working on? We have to work with parents, we have to work with caregivers, we have to work with caretakers, we have to work with patrons, we have to work with funders. So I think even to be able to, recalibrate that and keep going back to the vision board, a model like this helps, I think, all stakeholders.
Right. What is the difference between short-term stay and long-term stay, and how does a parent know which one is right for their child?
I don't know if I can answer it by saying which one is right for the child, but I can talk to you about our experience in Snehadhara. It began with thank God it's Friday night sleepover pajama parties. From that, it moved on. So a parent would come and drop the child at 7 in the evening on a Friday and pick up the child on Saturday at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was just a 12-hour.
Right.
That was as relevant as running, a semi-residential program. Then it moved on to home visits. Then we moved on to Monday nights, Wednesday nights on campus. Then we did a Monday to Thursday night on campus. Then we moved into a 26-day format. We did a 7-day format. So today when I talk to you about something that is accessible. When we talk about inclusion, we talk about accessibility.
Right.
So the idea of assisted living has to be accessible to a parent who can choose any one of this before making the final decision on which one do I really need.
Right.
So from that point of view, I feel that This is just a precursor to something that we feel we want to plan for our child in a situation where the primary caregiver is not there. And for that, each one of these are going to be valuable data collection, especially when it comes to neurodiverse children and adults.
Right.
And given the spectrum of, adjustments, changes, schedules that we want to introduce the child to. So I think a short stay is going to lead into the long stay decision for a parent, for an organization, for the child.
If you had to send out a message to the parents who are, sort of struggling or wondering if they should get into it at all, or when they should get into it, would you like to please share that with us?
Yeah, I think my message to all parents would be that you're not alone, you're seen, you're held. We would like to support systems around how you have planned things for your family and your child. So take those little steps where we are able to understand what after me when we are very much there. And those little steps would mean how can I give my child an environment which is unfamiliar? And trust me, life throws such surprises at us that sometimes even after all the preparation, we fall short. So the time to ask this question on what after me is not at the magical number 18, but to do little things that we can. And for all parents, there is society at large which has to be a part of making this decision. It is not about one child needing to be included and there is an including group. So tell us, how can we create this movement together, and what is the kind of allyship and companionship you want from these organizations, from all of us who are trying to do our bit in being a part of your journey.
That was truly insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gitanjali, for sharing your knowledge and your heart with us today. For our listeners, if today's conversation gave you a new perspective on autism support, please like, share, and subscribe to the India Autism Center podcast. Until next time, check out the video popping up on your screen.